Hey guys, so we haven't had a channeled message in a little while, so let's do that today. I don't know what's going to come out. I'm sure it's probably in the description down below. Let's just see what is supposed to come out here. Man, it is beautiful outside. It is such a nice, wonderful day in March. Okay. Becoming, visibly changing, transformation. Okay. Changes and transformations that are visibly manifesting in your world are going to become much more obvious to those of you who are spiritually perceptive very quickly. The planetary alignments that are coming, that are significant over the next several weeks, are going to be momentous. Like big, huge, visibly changing the trajectory that previously had been set forth, but some people won't experience the exchange of this energy. Okay, so what does the exchange mean? Okay, energy exchange. Okay, so I have to tell you guys this story. I'm supposed to tell you this story. So I was going to work with an online coach. Like I've been, looking at, I work here. Some of my clients, I would say a quarter of them are already online, but most of my clients, I work out of a beautiful, gigantic mansion medical spa here where I live in Joplin. So most of my clients are there, but so that I can not have to stay here forever, I was wanting to transition online. So I was, talking to this woman, this coach. And so she told me everything that she needed to tell me. And I said, okay, well, I need to meditate about this because I don't make decisions, changes without consulting the divine first. I don't think she believed that. Anyway, so I'm meditating about this. And so I say to the divine, I was like, okay, so how does this work? That I am going to give her some of my energy, which is money, right? So that I'm going to give her this energy of mine in the form of money, and that she's going to do something, transmute it in some way. And by me giving it to her and then her giving it back to me, it's going to multiply. It's going to be more than what it was when I gave it. So I was just trying to understand this. And I was told before I almost even asked the question was that it's all belief, right? So if I believe, oh, that by me doing this, I'm going to get that back, so then I will, and if I don't, then I won't. And it also would have to do with her belief, right? Everything's belief. So, but from that conversation, through my meditation, I was kind of guided to the realization of I don't actually need anything external, that if I just have this belief and it's in perfect alignment with the divine, then just like I can manifest anything, this too I can manifest. But currently, there was something in my belief system that wasn't allowing this change or transformation from in person to online to take place. So this had to do with the energy of belief. Anyways, back to what we were on here. I don't even remember why I had to tell you that story, but I'm sure it'll come up here in a minute. Okay, so changes and transformations and willingness to change and to go along with these transformations is the key. And belief is the underlying substance of all of our visible reality. So, for example, you might experience and see something visibly in your life, and you think, well, I didn't create this. Well, that came from some other man's or woman's mind But what it really did come from was the pool of consciousness where all of us get our stuff. So we all have access all the time to this divine mind. And in this divine mind, it contains literally everything. It contains that $1 million jackpot that you want. It contains that love that you want. It contains that perfect relationship with family, friends, whatever it is. It contains all of this already all in here. It's already all created. And it's there for you. Now, this mind that's up here, people, all the people here, they go up and they take little things out of it. And then they say that this is mine. This is my idea. This is my whatever. When really it all came from here. It's all of ours. It's all shared. But it's the ego that says that this is mine. And this ego part of us keeps us separated from that mind because we don't even acknowledge that this is where it came from. And it keeps us separated from other people because we all have access to the same. But when we claim something as mine, not yours, we cut ourselves off from the people and from the divine mind, from that source, that energetic source that is all giving, all knowing, and constant. It's constantly flowing things to us if we will accept it. So constantly changing causes chaos. This is why our visible reality slowly changes over time. This is for our safety and our own security. So, for example, if you set some form of karma out into the world, let's say about a year ago, and you are expecting your visible reality to change today, pretty much can almost guarantee that it won't happen today. I'm speaking from the place of a year ago. If I've changed this karma, it's not going to happen that day. But the visible reality shifts and changes slow enough that it keeps you feeling safe and secure. So a year after you put that karma into place, then when things begin to shift and change, you don't recognize that it was the karma or the thing that you did, whatever it was, the intention that you had a year ago that has now led you to this place right now and that has changed your reality. So you have changed your visible reality, but it began back then and occurred so slowly that you don't notice the shift. So this reminds me of, sometimes I will work with clients. So let's say that I worked with somebody. Here's a perfect example. I worked with someone, did 2 sessions with them. They come back to me 2 months after their previous session and we're like, hey, let's try this again. I'm not sure that this really worked for me. Like, I haven't noticed the changes. So I go back and I look at their notes and I said, okay, so the first session, this was the problem for you. This is what you wanted to work on. Is this still a problem for you? Oh, yeah, no, that's not a problem for me at all. Okay, so the 2 months ago, that was the issue that had been a thing that was going on and on and on and on and on. And you're like, if I can just get a hold of this one thing and change it, I'll be good. Okay, so then I look at the next session. Okay, so in this session, you wanted to work on this and this and this. Are those things still an issue for you today? No, not at all. I don't even remember that being an issue. Now, I say that to tell you that your reality that you are living in right now at this exact second, you don't know anything other than this. You can't feel that pain from your broken arm 5 years ago. You can't remember what that was like when somebody broke your heart. You might remember that it was awful. You might remember that it was bad, but you don't really remember it because you've changed and you're now just who you are. So when we make these changes and when we make these things, sometimes we don't even realize the amount of progress that has come to us over a year's time, which is why it's super helpful for anybody who keeps a journal. I'm not a big journal keeper, but for anybody that who keeps one, you can then look back over the previous thing, the previous year, the previous whatever, and be like, wow, like I've really come a long way. So these changes that occur, they occur so almost sneakily, like that, almost without us knowing. And so let's say even somebody comes to me, maybe they've had depression. And so I always work with numbers. I'm a numbers person. So if they're telling me that their depression was at a 7 or an 8 out of 10, like very high, extremely high, okay, they're going to come back a week later. Oh, what's your depression at now? Or what's that depression at? Oh, I don't know, maybe a 2 or a 3. Okay. Do you remember what it was last week? No, I don't. Oh, it was at a 7 or an 8. Oh, wow. And this is 1 week's time. And so as soon as you are now, as soon as that change has happened, you've let go of the old way. It's changed. The same things happen in your visible reality. You might have totally new people in your life. You might be going to totally new places. You might have accumulated different things and cleaned out old things. You might have changed your yard. You might have moved, changed locations, something along those lines. But because we're always just in our world, here with ourselves all of the time, we don't realize these transformations and these changes that have happened in our visible reality and that they were set in motion a long time ago. And so we don't recognize that we are reaping as we've sown, that what we set in motion in the past, it's now here for us. Back to the message. Beginning back in the past. If we go to the beginning, if we go to the start of your life and you were to replay it moving forward, you would see that there are several different patterns that have occurred in your life. These might be negative patterns. These might also be wonderful gifts that you have given to yourself over the years. So I'm now thinking of my sister. My sister has had several, I think 4, free trips to Mexico. This is a repeated pattern that she has had, a wonderful one, but a repeated pattern that she has had in her life. So it happened this first time. It's possible, right? It's possible. And then she appreciated it. She loved it. She thought about it. She spoke about it. And she manifested it into reality to create it again and again and again. Now, recognize in your life repeated patterns. But if it's a negative pattern, same thing happened. Initial time it happens. Oh, I feel this way. I think about it. I speak about it. I'm telling everybody, I'm talking about it. And every time I talk about it, every time I'm speaking about it, I'm putting it out there that this is what I want, even though it's not what I want, right? The universe doesn't know the difference. But when she's speaking and she's talking about the Mexico thing and she's, putting that out there, the universe is like, oh, that's what you want? We could do that for you, and it just gives you more. So when you do the same thing with the negative pattern, it doesn't know you don't want that. It just gives you what you're asking for. This is why gossip and judgment and criticism is so dangerous, because the universe, it thinks you like it, and it thinks that you like it in all of its forms. You didn't specify. So when you're doing this against other people, when you're condemning and criticizing and complaining and you're speaking and you're using this against other people, the universe doesn't recognize that as that this is against other people. All it can recognize is the energies that are being put out. And so it thinks that you want this or that you like this, or doesn't think you want it or like it or anything. It's just going to give you more of it because that's the law of cause and effect. And so as you're putting it out there, all of a sudden you get it back in droves and waves. But this time it comes back and it affects you in your home and in you. This is why when we speak about things, think of the spoken word as creation. This is why I have a hard time telling certain stories or talking about this thing that has happened here in the world, because we have manifested it at a time in the past, and we are now seeing it. And if I speak about it and if I talk about it, we do need to be aware of certain things, but as we speak and we talk about these things, we're manifesting, we're creating them. Our spoken word is so powerful. Why do you think in every single magical spell that ever existed, there was words that were attached to them? Because our spoken words are powerful. This is why it's so important. So I know that we're talking about our visible reality. So what can you do with everything that I just told you about speaking and the spoken word? Speak it. What do you want? Whatever it is that you want. So the other day, I'm going to tell you two stories. They both happened same day, an hour apart from each other, maybe. I go into this antique store and I was looking for, I live down in Joplin, Missouri. We get a lot of antique stores around here and in all the surrounding neighborhoods. Like, it's fabulous. I walk into this place. I was looking for two boxes. I wanted a little cute little box, a little dish, and I wanted a nice little wooden box that was like fancy, ornate, that I could just keep stuff in. I was going to my friend's house and I wanted to put some stuff in there. I walk in the store, but everywhere that I'm looking, it's like $15 for this box or that, or whatever. I didn't want to spend that much. So I walk in and I said, I find the perfect box. It's wooden. It's a little bit masculine, but good for either sex. And it's $2 or less. And I find a little dish, exactly what I'm looking for, also $2 or less. Walking through the store, looking through everything. What do I find? Exactly what I was looking for, maybe even better, more ornate and more beautiful than what I was even expecting. Perfect box, perfect size, it's just perfect. It's beautiful. Maybe that'll be the picture on my thing here. $2. Find another little dish, $2. Okay, so about an hour later, something like that, maybe around there. Anyways, I really like rings. So, and I'm not wearing the ones. So I'm going to go in this antique store. And I'm walking in before I'm even in, I'm still in my car. And I speak it out loud and I said, I go in this store and I find real gold and silver rings that are beautiful for $5 or less, because they don't know what they got. And I get a really good deal on it. So I walk in and I find all this little basket filled with like little Ziploc bags, like the little teensies with all these rings in it. And most of them are, kind of, not so great. But I'm looking through and I'm like, no, I know I'm going to find something good in here. Oh, actually this was one of them. This pink one here. This is one of them. Silver, 10 karat gold, genuine stones. I got this one. I got a yellow one. I got another one. $4.99 or less. $4.99 or less. All of them silver and 10 karat gold or higher, or 14. Every single one of them for $4.99 or less. For $4.99 or less, because I spoke it. I created it. I spoke it. Now, anytime that you do this, if you were speaking this, just if it is for the good of everyone, then you know that you're going to get back really good karma. And it doesn't matter what you ask for, it doesn't matter what you want, it doesn't matter what you speak. If it is for the good of everyone, then you have already set the intention that you don't want it if it's ever going to harm anybody else, which that's all that we need, is to know that, we're not going to harm anybody else, that this is a loving thing, it's going to benefit you, and, it's going to benefit the world generally. So think about the things that you want in your life, but here's the trick to it. Speaking about them, and it's not about speaking like it's already happened. It's not anything. It is belief. It all comes back to belief. If you believe, and so I believe, because I've experienced it, I've experienced that uplifted enlightenment. That is the most wonderful thing that you should be seeking, that this is all that I want, all that I don't care about anything other than that. That is what I want. That is the most meaningful thing to me. When I had these enlightenments, when they very first started coming through, and I was up at my cabin and there's nothing up there. Like, this is you're burning wood in your stove in the cabin to keep it warm. you don't have even running water if you're there in wintertime. You do in summer. But I could have lived there and sustained myself off of the energy from the sun, very minimal food. I could have lived there for the rest of my life in peace, harmony, unity, in that wonderful, uplifted, amazing state, and wanted for absolutely nothing. I for nothing. I didn't want anything. I didn't need nobody. I didn't need anything other than this light, this love, this divine enlightenment that I was experiencing at the time, and the miraculous miracles that come from it. Um, didn't need anything, didn't want anything. And so, having experienced that, I have the faith. I've felt it. I know it. I know it. I don't have any doubts about it because I've felt it and I've experienced it and I know it personally myself. So, when I speak something, when I ask for something, when I create something by speaking, using my words, I don't have any doubt that, of course, I've instantly manifested it. I don't have to wait a year. I don't have to put this manifestation in and then wait a year. It might be a couple hours. It might be till I walk from my car into the store. But it's because I have faith and I don't doubt. Do not doubt. And I know that that's a difficult thing to do. The very first time that I had this drift of enlightenment, I was at my home. I wasn't up at my cabin, and this energy came into me, and it's such a long time ago now, several years, that I can't really remember it, but I know that the result of it was that I doubted that it had even really happened to me, even though I felt it and even though I knew. I doubted that it had happened shortly after it had happened, like within the same day, and then it went away. And it tells you in the Christ letters, it warns you of this. It says, when you experience it, do not doubt, or it's going to be taken away and it's going to be tricky to get it back. So that's exactly what had happened to me, but I didn't now doubt that it was possible. It just made me yearn for it even more because I was like, I know that I felt it, but I doubted it before I could fully experience it and truly, truly know it. So then when I went to my cabin, and this was what I was seeking. I was seeking healing from my ex, and I was seeking this enlightenment. But that's why I went up there. Was I went with my Christ letter books and with my book, with my yoga mat. That was it. That was what I was going there for. Maybe I brought my art canvases when I very first went, but this was what I was seeking, was this enlightenment. And it came to me. But I had been seeking this and studying about it and listening to it and meditate. Like, I was hungry for it. So if you're not doing that work, that great, wonderful work, it's going to be very difficult for it to come to you, And I've always had this seeking, this spiritual passion in my life since I was a very young child. I was just loved spiritual things. And from the very time that I was a very young child, I would speak and create miracles, things to happen just instantly, just like that. But now I understand why that was happening. And it was my belief that I had no doubt. We were told, where two or more of you come together and you ask for something, you're going to get it. If you pray and you believe it, you're going to get it. So I had that. So I had the belief that was under it. But once you experience it, and once you know it, and once you feel that divine love, and you know for certain that it's real, it just changes you. It just changes things. And it also makes you recognize why everything has happened in your past. You were afraid that this was going to happen, and then it happened. That energy of fear that you're putting out there, the universe is like, they want it, let's give it to them. And you're like, I don't want it. And it's like, then quit giving me the energy of fear, because I can't tell what you want and what you don't want. I can only read the energies. You recognize, maybe when you were little, this thing happened. Maybe you stole something when you were a little kid. And then you get a little bit bigger and somebody steals something from you. And you don't recognize, like, I guess I shouldn't have been stealing that gum when I was a little kid, because now somebody stole my coin collection or whatever it happened to be. But then spiritual growth is when you recognize and you realize that you are responsible for all of it. Every little tiny bit of it, whether it was through your fear or whether it was through your action. Maybe it was through the spoken words. Maybe you were speaking words that were harming people, and now people are speaking words that are harming you. Whatever it happens to be, we have set all of it into motion. And so when you really recognize that at a very deep level, then you can change the karmic things that you have going on in your life. You can make decisions. You can decide that from then on, you're not going to allow the element of fear to be a part of your life, because why would you want that? Do you want the things that you're fearing? Do you want those to come into your life? No. Well, then you better stop fearing those things and you better heal them. This is an opportunity for you to tune into that energy of love that says you don't need to be afraid of nothing and nobody and any of the stuff. You don't need to be afraid of anything. And then when you tune into that, then, oh, okay, you've healed this part inside of you. And now you're not going to set into motion any fear-based karmic reaping and sowing in the future, because you've changed this now about yourself. It's a very powerful thing to recognize your part that you have played, which is the base role of everything that you're experiencing in your life, and to be able to then change that. Now, I'm not saying if you came in here and you had a crappy childhood, I'm not blaming you and saying that, oh, well, you were born and you were afraid your parents were going to beat you, and so they did. No, we have karma from previous lives that we need to resolve. And we also have issues with people from previous lives that we need to resolve in this life. Let me give you an example of that. So I needed to forgive my father. I had a previous life. I've seen it about 6 times when I would do past life regression, which that's not normal. Like when I'm doing regression with clients, for someone to go back to the same life more than once, first of all, lets me know something has not been resolved there that needs to be resolved. I can't actually think of a time that that has happened, but it happened to me 6 freaking times. I think it was 6. So we go back. And in this one life, it was very tragic. It was very terrible. I should have forgiven this man who killed my son, but instead, I murdered his whole family because he did that to me. I got revenge on him. We die. We go up to wherever, somewhere, and we both realize that this life was about forgiveness, and that never happened. Well, this man who did this to my son in a previous life is my father in this current life. So, in order for me to forgive him from that, he had to do something that would be very, very difficult for me to forgive in this life. And thereby me forgiving him in this life, which I have, and what a wonderful gift that is. Forgive the people that you haven't forgiven. Trust me on this. You're setting yourself free, but you're also setting them free, but you're gonna want that. When you forgive these people, it's then changed things, but I had to then be brought into this world with a person as my parent who was going to do something to me that was going to set in a chain of events, of things and whatever, that there I'm going to need to forgive this person at some point. So when we come into this world and these bad, perceivably, because nothing is bad, well, that's not true. There's things that are very abhorrent and awful. But when we come into this world and we have that, we then have the opportunity to grow. You'll notice spiritual people like you, if you're watching this, we got to go through some shit in this life. Most people do. But we got to go through it. Why? Because every time it gives us the opportunity to grow. Why? Because had I not gone up to my cabin, like when my ex cheated on me and it destroyed my whole entire world, that of any of the things that I've been through in my life, that was beyond the most difficult. I wanted to die for 6 months. I just didn't even want to live anymore. He was my life. So I thought. And so I'm destroyed by this. Just couldn't even. Couldn't even. But I knew I had to be able to forgive him. I knew I had to do that, or I was not going to be able to keep on living. I just couldn't do it. I had to deal with these things. And so by going through that process, going up to my cabin, going by myself, being out there alone, doing the work of like, I'm coming here and I'm not leaving until the work is done. That's how I operate now. I need to do this thing. This needs to happen. Well, we're doing this and we're doing it until it's done. So I can't remember. I think I was up there about 3 weeks the first time, but I had forgiven him early on in this. And then I started making that series for you guys because these enlightenments had come. But had this tragedy not befallen me, which of course was self created through fear and whatever else, had this not happened to me, the enlightenment would not have happened because I wouldn't have been seeking help. I wouldn't have been seeking to be better. I wouldn't have been seeking, whatever it was. I wouldn't have been doing that because I would have just been fine. There would have been no work. No, there would have been no reason for me to do that. And I got to say, when it happened, I was here. And after it happened, it felt like I was here, way down at the bottom, drowning, wishing I was dead. Then I go and I'm like, I need to heal from this. And I ended up way up here, way up there. And it's never ending. It just keeps going up. So if you're going through a bad time right now, first of all, spiritually development wise, recognize how you played the role so that you can stop that, so that this pattern doesn't need to repeat, or whatever this thing is doesn't ever need to repeat here again in the future, and so that you can take accountability for it. People are just playing the role that we subconsciously have invited for them to do, or that in some other way, through cause and effect, we have invited for them to do because we need to learn or gain or get something out of it. So that's the biggest thing, is being aware. That's spiritual development 101. First and most important thing is recognizing that you're responsible for all of it. And what a wonderful thing that is. That makes you the most important person in the world, because you and you alone can change your reality. And I would say the biggest thing, if you criticize, complain, or condemn, immediately stop, immediately stop, immediately stop. And I'm not just talking about other people. If you do this to yourself, this is not good. You are causing so much harm to your own being. You're cutting yourself off from the divine because you were made perfect. You're perfect now and you always have been. It's only the mind that needs to begin to think differently. But anytime that you insult or criticize or complain or condemn or harm yourself in that way, by speaking those negative things, by saying those negative things repetitively in your head or whatever it happens to be, you're causing so much harm to yourself. And that will show in your visible reality. It won't look so great. It'll look as bad as you feel. You might have the most beautiful house in the world, but it won't feel that way if you feel ugly inside. It's never going to be good enough. So I don't know how much of this was channeled. This was half channeled. This was half me just telling you stories. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope it didn't feel like I was like getting on you guys. That wasn't my intent, but it felt like I was doing that at some points here. So I don't mean to give you guys shit if you're listening to this. I just love you so much, and I want the best for you. I want the best for this whole world. We are creating an era of love and peace, and it's our every loving thought that creates this. So if you want to do a meditation that will be very helpful for you right now, go through your body head to toe and apologize to your body in all of the places that you have shamed, criticized, or condemned yourself before. If you don't like this part of yourself and every time that you look in the mirror you're like, ugh, whatever, think what that is doing that to that part of you. If ever you've seen that water experiment with Dr. Emoto, when they put the intention into the water and it either turned it beautiful or it turned it hideous, depending on the thought and the intention that was in there, you're mostly water. That is what you're doing to your body. That's what you're doing to yourself. It's so vitally important that the only thoughts that we have are loving, wonderful thoughts, not just out there, but in here, because it all starts in here and we project this out there. So go through head to toe. Apologize to any of these parts that you haven't loved, that you've criticized or complained or condemned. Once you've apologized to them, then just go through and just put so much love in them. Thank these parts for what they do for you. Your feet carry you everywhere that you go. So do your legs, so do your arms. Think about the amount of times in a day that you need your body to be functioning and working properly. And when it is functioning and working properly, how wonderful that is for you. And if you have parts that aren't functioning and working properly, apologize to those parts for being pissed at them. And you can even talk to your parts. If you are very perceptive, you can ask these parts. Let's say that you had, I don't know, a sore elbow. You can close your eyes, you can meditate, you can just say, what are you trying to tell me? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to stop thinking? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? You know, ask yourself these questions and you can heal your body. So once you've apologized, just go through head to toe and give all of those places in you just this beautiful, bright, brilliant, divine, heavenly love. Just imagine that heavenly love is filling up all those places inside of you, and then just see how you feel after you're done doing that. I think you'll probably really like it. Anyways, if you guys are tuning in, shocking, surprise, nobody tunes in. And if you do, I love you. I love you guys. You're my people. I will see you guys in the next video. Remember, we're creating an era of peace and love, and our every loving thought is a divine influence on this planet. So just send out some love. So I'm doing that to you right now. Oh, I'm sending you guys so much love. I'm filling up your hearts. Oh, head to toe, you guys are bright, you're brilliant, you're glowing. I can actually already see how many people are watching this video. I love you guys. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video, or not. I don't know. Are you coming back? I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.